Hello, it is October 12th, 2023. I don't know how important or relevant it is to keep saying that, but I'm just going to roll with it right now until I start getting these on the website so people can listen to or not. Busy day. Worked on some bags, did some personal stuff like insurance and stuff like that. Looked on Amazon to get an idea how much profit I will actually make if I set it at a certain price. And looks like I am at $25 set price, or $26 set price. I think I'm going to talk about this more in detail in another podcast when I get closer to the time and all that. And I think I will set it at 1 kilo, which is 2.2 pounds. But yeah, if I say any lower, then I'll be essentially making $1.50 to $3, $1.50 a pound of coffee, which is bananas. So I gotta make something for it to make sense. But yeah, so again, I have some mixed feelings about certain things with it, but talking to my brother, getting his idea and logic, and I'll talk some more about it as I go on this rabbit hole, as I update the bags and make sure I include that into to an expense. And yeah, so that's that. But I did want to do have a topic today, and it's about tasting coffee at 200 degrees Fahrenheit. Or what is it, 92 degrees or 95 degrees Celsius? I've been enjoying the coffees. I really, truly have been enjoying the coffees I've been roasting lately. Not so much has changed with the actual roasting of the coffees. It's more so still from doing a medium profile, it's a medium roast. And then when I do the dark, I have a particular profile to it, but it is a lot longer in the drum and the roaster. Make sure that it is usually drop that second crack. When second crack is just starting, I'll go about 30 seconds or so on the profile roaster. But on the other roaster, I usually go to about 440 degrees Fahrenheit, depending on, again, the coffee too. But more so, that's the target for the dark roast. Medium roast is about 425, something like that. And that's for a majority of the coffee. Sometimes it's a little bit longer, or again, it really does depend on how the coffee is moving, the profile that I'm working with, and how long it's been roasting. But to get back on topic, yeah, I've been enjoying the coffees. Been tasty, very vibrant. I'm getting clarity out of them, and I'm using, V60. That's my daily driver. Oh, I should talk about that in a future podcast too, and why I use that. But they've been really good. I've been enjoying them black, and I think that should be the gold standard. Meaning that if you can drink coffee black, then that coffee is tasty. Well, it should be tasty. And then you can do whatever else you want to do with it. But 200 degrees, 193 degrees, what I was doing for the past couple of months have been truly killing my soul. The coffees have been dull, not enough, personality, but 200 degrees. I'm curious to see what it is going to be at 204 degrees when I change it up from there. And I will go to 210. We shall see. I think that's way too high, but we will see. And that will be interesting. I haven't done 210, 212 in a long time. But 200 degrees is pleasant. I think that's the balance that I like a lot. And with me presenting my coffees as flavorful and balanced, I think that's where I will start the recipe to give out to people. Again, I have to try the different things and all that stuff. But this is me doing a pour over. A lot of times people are going to have difficulties if they're using a machine to get that machine to operate higher than what it's designed to do. And I think 200 is actually a good sweet spot anyway. And just thinking about it out loud, I think that's where you want your coffees, because you have to realize that people have different machines, different recipes that they follow. As soon as the coffee leaves your hand, they do whatever the hell they want to with their coffee. So that's cool. But 200 degrees. I just roasted a Sumatran on my website. I think it's a medium dark. I need to do the kind of get the color wheel to see what it's at. But I think just by looking at it and the way it extracted very well and how it kind of like just hovers around, the coffee actually hovers around the V60. That mainly does that when it doesn't really sink down to the bottom. It does that with a darker roast. And I think that's what it's doing right now, even though I can be as patient as I want to when I'm actually brewing the coffee. But that's one thing that I have noticed with it quite a bit. And with this one, and again, it was just roasted yesterday. I grinded it before I went to sleep yesterday, and I brewed it this morning, but very flavorful coffee, very juicy. Uh, you're not gonna like everything about the coffee. In this case, I don't. I think when it kind of keeps winding down and it keeps lingering in your mouth, it gets a little grapefruity. You know, it's a mellow type of acidity, and then it just like yells and shouts at you, if that makes sense. But yeah, so this is the Sumatran, and I think what I'm going to do is play around with grind size and try to go crazy with over extracting to see how that actually tastes. I haven't done a crazy over extracted coffee. I'm looking more so at a 23 to 24% extraction. Today I was able to do 19 point something and 20. If you want to know more about how I get this information, and you could I'll tell you, but for the most part, I think most people care about how it tastes and how does that matter more so in the cup. And again, compared to a lot of to the Brazilian that I usually sell, and even the Mexican, the coffee is, it talks to me. It's the acidity is the part that talks to me. I'll talk about more about the way I kind of look at coffees and the way I get interested in them and what it means to you, because you may like this particular coffee in the afternoon, or you may like it in the morning, and you may like to grind it and brew it at a more coarser stage, and at times it can get a little bit more juicy that way too, depending on the device you use. But yeah, so it's a really juicy cup. It I had more so a love-hate relationship with this particular Sumatran that I have currently on my deck of coffees. And yeah, so I'm interested to see what else I have. The espresso that I roasted a couple of weeks ago, I did try that also at 200 degrees Fahrenheit, and it was fantastic. You know, it's not as mellow as it is in an espresso cup, but it is very pronounced. And the acidity is a little bit louder. The orange does come through a little bit more compared to it being as an espresso. when you do it as a espresso shot, but it's pretty cool, and it's more so, I don't know, that's kind of hard to say. In truth, I would probably actually do this one if somebody wanted to brew this coffee, the espresso, as a pour over. I'd tell them to do it at 193 degrees, because that does bring it out more or so to what, not the same intensity. It's a totally different cup um, compared to an espresso shot, but it's still close to that type of language or profiles. But yeah, so 200 degrees, that's where I'm at right now. I will more or so stay at 200 degrees for the rest of this month, October. Then I'll go up to 204. And then in December, I will pitch it up to 212 and see how that works, and then make my conclusion from there. But it's great that I'm also actually documenting this, so I can always go back and be like, oh, how did it really taste? I don't know. I just said it and I thought it, and I even wrote it down, or but whatever. It's I'm talking it out right now, so that's awesome. So what else do I have going for me right now? Just a lot of things that I have to do in order to get things ready for Amazon. Still thinking about logistics, new equipment that I may have to buy. Um, Updating my spreadsheet also, so I can see how much money everything is going to cost me. And it seems like I'm working with a third of things, meaning that I have a third for the cost of the coffee. The other third is Amazon's profit or Amazon's expenses that I have to pay. And then profit, what's left over for me. And yeah, that's the thing people don't realize. Yes, I can make a lot more money on my website because I'm not actually paying for shipping. Sometimes I do eat some of the shipping that I have been doing, but for the most part, people pay for their own shipping. But yeah, so it's one of those things where I have to realize that there's a lot of things that I have to take in consideration, especially when it comes to funds, money, and it making sense to me and the business. Because at the end of the day, I do want people to taste my coffee. And that's the thing. But I have to be able to give it to them in a way to where it's easy, it's accessible. And I'll talk more so about samples and how I plan to get that out there too, and also to help promote local businesses in that way. And it doesn't always have to be just eating type of places. It can be other type of local businesses that gets a lot of traffic. That's the key to all this too. But yeah, so that's what I got going for now. I am slightly overwhelmed with the work that needs to get done, but it needs to get done. So I will get it done. And then once it's done, I will slowly but surely celebrate from there and continue to do more things that need to get done. But yeah, so that's what I got going. We'll see how everything works. And I'll talk to you next time. Bye.